Hey guys, how are we? Hope you're well. So just in Ammonia Square here, and the sun's out. It's an absolutely stunning day. So yeah, very pleasant in the sun, low winds, beautiful. So, but a lot of people here just enjoying the sun, and yeah, quite pleasant. I've been bullish on the EU in the past, but I'm not bullish on the EU at the moment, purely because I think they're about to bring in mandatory medical procedures, which I think is against the Nuremberg Code. You know, that's going to make life a little bit difficult for people. I think that's their intention. They want to make life difficult. This is actually about a new monetary system, new taxation system. And I think that's what it's actually about. It's not about, health policy per se. So I think a lot of the guys who are implementing these government policies are completely oblivious as to what they're doing, and they're just following the advice that's been given to them, or tabled, as they say. So interesting that Australia's Health Minister Greg Hunt has resigned. I think this is what my impression with Greece will be. I think once you get into the spring-summer season, you're going to see all of these mandates for vaccination, etc. They'll all go, because if they don't, then what you're going to see is the Greeks basically get really upset. Government knows that. They know they're on a limited time frame anyway, and people don't buy the narrative. They're not interested in it. I'm not interested in it. I don't believe it. So the situation here is you need to have a vaccination passport to get into most places, and if you don't have that vaccination passport, you're only really allowed to go to essential places like supermarkets and that sort of stuff. So cafes, etc., are out of the question. Restaurants, even hotels, getting onto ferries, you really need to have that vaccination passport, or the results of a antigen or rapid test. So that's what's happening at the moment. It's going to cost you €10 to get the rapid test, and that's basically, you need to go to the pharmacy to get that, and it's a bit of a pain. It takes about 10 minutes to get it, and that's going to last you 48 hours. So the Greek government can go stick that up their wazoo. So I'm not interested in that crap. So we'll probably be moving, I'd say, somewhere in the new year, and we're just doing the research on that at the moment. It doesn't matter. Look, as I said, what we do is the PT5 flags, or Perpetual Traveller 5 flags. So we want to be agile. We want the best of what the world has to offer, and we're not interested in any sort of government dictating how we're going to live, and all the other crap that governments go on with. So certainly not interested in the Greek government imposing any sort of mandates on medical procedures. At the moment, they're put a law in place that makes it mandatory for over 60s to be vaccinated. If they don't, then they incur a €100 a month fine. This is going to be really prohibiting for a lot of Greeks. So the normal vaccine rate in Greece, according to Reuters, is 2,500 appointments per day. After the mandate for over 60s to be vaccinated, it went up to 17,000 people in the first 24 hours, but I'd say that's probably dropped back down to about 2,500 a day now, maybe even less. The Greeks are in a very precarious position, like the rest of Europe, and you're going to see a lot of civil unrest in the new year. So I think that's where we're going at the moment. The economy here is starting to really tank, and despite what the Prime Minister here says, he's sort of talking it up, saying that they're expecting a really good 2022 economically. And I don't know where he's getting those figures from, because if you look at the shops around here, the retail, a lot of shops are closing at the moment. Retail is fairly good indicator as to how much expendable income people have got. If people don't have the money, or they're not interested in spending the money, for example, if you're going to be required to have some sort of PCR test or vaccination passport to go into a shop, they're not going to go and spend. So at the moment, according to the GreekReporter.com, so earnings for retail are down by 60% in the last 3 weeks. And that's a good indicator that the economy here is tanking at a rapid rate. So they're going to be in another recession before too long. So technically, to be in a recession, you just need to have 3 quarters of negative GDP growth. So I think they're on the cusp of that at the moment, if they're not already in it. If they go into more than that, you're going to be in complete depression. So if they're not in a recession by now, they're certainly officially be in one by the new year. So anyway, in regards to Georgia, so Georgia, I've been bullish on Georgia in the past, right? Purely because it has a great visa program. You can get a visa for 12 months relatively easy. It's not a big problem. And that just affords you enough time to get established, start a business, look at properties, find out where the best places for you to live are, and really get a sense of what it's like over there. The other good thing that Georgia has going for it is low cost of living, so low rent, low consumer products, that sort of stuff. So food, etc., is pretty cheap. So Georgia is actually pretty good, and the people are nice. So I've been bullish on that in the past, but the thing that's changed my mind with Georgia is that they now have this vaccination passport that's required. And that's their prerogative, it's their country, they can do whatever they please, but I personally am not interested in that. I don't want any part of that at all, so I won't be going to Georgia until that's removed. So that's my thoughts on Georgia. So I think if you have had the medical procedure and you're happy with that, then Georgia's a good place to relocate to, probably better than a lot better than Australia. If you're not that way inclined, then I certainly wouldn't recommend Georgia for that reason, that life is going to be very difficult for you over there. You're not going to be able to go to restaurants, cafes, bars. You're going to be limited to essential services. It's just not an acceptable situation. So Georgia's out of the question for me. So the other option is basically going to a free state in America, say like Texas or Florida, or even looking at Mexico. So it just really depends at the moment, and the time frame with which I'll do that, I don't know, who knows. So it just really depends on where things go here. If we can get through the winter in Greece without further restrictions, then we might be okay. If that's not the case, then we'll be out of here pretty quickly, I'd say. So that's just the situation. It is nice on the islands, absolutely beautiful. And you're going to find a lot of the restrictions that you have in the big cities like Athens will not be as severe. They're not going to be enforced the same way that they are in the city. So, because basically the situation for Greeks is that if they let somebody unvaccinated into their establishment or without a negative PCR test or antigen test, then they're going to be fined 5,000 euros. So they don't want that. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot at the moment is people say, oh, you can't outrun it. And it's not really about that. I think you're missing the point if you think that that's what it's about. It's actually about having a quality of life, and PT5 flags is the basis for that. So really what we're looking at doing is going to where we're going to have our best life. We're not interested in running from anything in particular. It's just that I want to have a life that allows me the freedom to do business, to have a good social life and enjoy myself. So at the end of the day, if you think that it's about running out from or running away from vaccine mandates, then you're missing the point. So it doesn't matter if it's about vaccine mandates or not. Yeah, so I think most people are pretty weary of all of the narrative at the moment, particularly now that they've announced that there's a new strain. I don't know how Omicron got into Australia, particularly with all of the new measures that they've put in place. It just doesn't seem feasible to me. So anyway, that's my personal opinion. I don't care anyway, either way. So I'm really not interested in that sort of stuff. I just want government to keep the hell out of my business. So I think people are pretty weary with the narrative that's being told at the moment. There's only so much fear you can stomach before you start calling BS on this stuff. I think the narrative is falling apart, and when the narrative starts falling apart, I can imagine that they're going to have to do something else. So watch this space, because I think what you will see is either some sort of kinetic conflict or a financial collapse, or probably a financial collapse and then a kinetic conflict, probably between Russia and Ukraine, or China and Taiwan. And I can see that unraveling after the Beijing Olympics next year. So watch this space. I think you've got a couple of months left, but time is of the essence. So who knows where things are going, and but I could certainly say to you that I think you really need to be really aware of where you are, and you need to be mobile. So maybe a yacht is a good alternative, and I have discussed this with my wife. So I think a yacht is really the only sort of way that you can sort of maintain some sort of independence, particularly from just this crazy bureaucracy that's happening around the world, and the restrictions on travel. So yeah, I think you'd want to be good with small spaces and rough seas. So I don't think that lifestyle's for everyone. So anyway, guys, hope you're well. Subscribe to the channel, and go over to forum.overseasexile.com and join the discussion.